Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. This is Christmas week, as we usually say in the UK, and historically it was a week where people were preparing for the big day, buying food, buying last-minute gifts, sending cards, etc. These days, because Christmas is marketed to us from the end of October, immediately after Halloween, most people are already prepared. In fact, in some ways, they're maybe over-prepared. Many people will have bought all of the gifts, but on this week, they'll remember more things they want to buy. I think it's a marketing ploy, a marketing trick to get us to do more. We do all of our Christmas shopping one week, and then we start buying additional things which we don't really need. Christmas is one of these festivals which requires us to participate. And therefore, there's always a feeling that we should be participating more and not be happy with the plans we already have. When I was a boy growing up in the UK, it was rather different. Christmas was hardly even thought of until a few days before. I have very nice memories of putting up the Christmas tree on Christmas Eve. And of course, the decorations there at that time tended to last much longer than today. In those days, even the lights weren't disposable. The Christmas tree lights every year, of course, didn't work. And you had to replace the bulbs, similar to the light bulbs that we have today. There was some kind of a Christmas feeling, and of course the most important thing to be purchased was the alcohol. Those things had to be planned in advance because, as I recall, on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, there were actually special rules in place about the purchase of alcohol. Rules were very different back then, especially around religious holidays. Well, things have changed, and these days for me, Christmas has been planned for a long time. My freezer is full of food, and there's no reason for me to be buying any more. Gifts and packages are still arriving for my little cat, which is a little bit crazy considering, well, he's a little cat. And even yesterday, he received a personal card with a photo of him inside. It's really nice that he's being remembered. And of course, compared to the 1970s, when pets were the last thing on our minds, Christmas week looks very different compared to the past. In the old days, statements like Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, have a wonderful day, etc., etc., were certainly things that you would hear in shops, in restaurants, of course, and from people in general. We don't really hear so much of those things these days because people live different kinds of lives. And when we are greeted with Merry Christmas, have a lovely time, I often wonder what people mean. Is it just a fake greeting? Or are they all having parties which I'm not being invited to? I don't know. But it's a very, very interesting dynamic. People are all looking forward to something, but I'm a little bit unclear on what that thing is. Certainly here in the UK, many people will simply be drinking. It's a time to get drunk, a time to forget about the world, And that will begin at around 8 in the morning when people start drinking whiskey, wine, and other things before they go for dinner to family. And then, of course, by the end of the day, there's major arguments, and it all becomes rather dysfunctional. And unfortunately, there's still a number of families whose celebrations will rise no higher than very basic alcohol consumption. For me, well, I'm hearing stories of my neighbours arguing because they're using each other's trash cans, each other's bins. There's talk about bins being locked so that other neighbours can't use them. Not very Christmas-like, I have to say, but it just goes to show how there's a real lack of unity at this holiday time. In the past, it used to be a time of forgiveness, a time of great joy. But when you hear stories of neighbours ready to attack each other purely because of using each other's trash cans at Christmas, it really is very, very sad. Another thing that I'd like to mention is mental health. This is a time when people's mental health begins to dip. And there's a website called mind.org.uk, which is one of the mental health charities, which is advising people to take it easy. Actually, I had something appear in my social media telling me that it's very important just to take it easy on Christmas week, which again makes me wonder what people are actually doing. I mean, I'm sitting here watching The Incredible Hulk when I'm not working. My Christmas is generally organized. All I have to do is cook. But it seems for many people, this is a time of great stress. I will say again, though, that when we're dealing with people who are simply sitting drinking alcohol, telling them to take it easy isn't going to make a lot of difference. This website is also covering why we sometimes get stressed and is offering a few reasons. One is that we don't quite measure up when we compare how other people are celebrating Christmas. It makes reference to the media and unrealistic advertising. And I have to say that while I'm talking with you now, I'm looking at a screen. The Incredible Hulk is on an advertising break. And basically we have a woman in a very large kitchen carving a huge turkey while smiling and sending messages on her mobile phone. And it's these kinds of things which people are comparing themselves to. So it's no surprise that they don't feel that they're measuring up. Another advert that's just came on is for an Italian beer, which I don't think is actually even Italian. And it's a man on a motorcycle running through the streets or driving through the streets of a small Italian city, stopping off and hugging people and saying, "Happy Christmas," where most of us are in a very dark, dismal, miserable weather situation here in the UK. So you can hear there's many reasons to be a little bit sad and depressed at Christmas. Loneliness is a really big factor at Christmas time, and being forced to buy gifts as well when you don't really have the money. These things are other points for consideration. One of the main things, though, I think, is the fact that we no longer operate as families or as communities. We're all living as individuals. There's no sense of togetherness. We'd rather kill each other over using each other's trash cans than we would say Happy Christmas. And even the sending of Christmas cards now is something of the past. Except, of course, for traditionalists like me, I still like to send cards, and so far I've received 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. Of course, I'm not counting, but my cat has probably just as many as I have at this point. I honestly believe that one of the reasons why Christmas is no longer the big event that it was, the same as I mentioned a few days ago on one of my clips, is that we don't get to participate in it anymore. When I was growing up, the TV was full of live programs, ones that you could call in. I remember one program which was Noel Edmonds, and he used to be broadcasting, I think, from one of the famous landmarks in London, the Telecom Tower, and they would take people on Concorde, for example, around the world to visit relatives. Everything is about spectating now. You're supposed to just watch TV, an endless stream of movies. You're supposed to watch other people doing other things, and there's no longer any need to actually participate. And that, I think, is part of the problem of Christmas. People just are doing nothing. It's like they're being drugged. And internally, they also are saying, wait, something isn't right here. Why am I not happy? It's because they're not able to fully participate. Even things like Christmas dinner can be ordered on Amazon, so you don't have to cook. But when you do cook, the creativity and the participation with that means that you feel better, especially if you're cooking for other people. So you see, again, the whole thing really just doesn't add up. So yes, mental health is a major factor these days. And it's something which we need to be aware of, especially about quietening our minds. The other day I was reading that even though all of our churches are closing very quickly, it seems that there isn't really any replacement. There aren't replacements for these kind of services. However, in my small town where I live, there are actually almost 30 12-step support groups for alcoholics, drug addicts, and other forms of addictions. So it seems that that there is some recognition that people need some kind of help. And on top of that, the media is presenting to us the perfect nuclear family, all sitting around the table at Christmas time, having a lovely afternoon. That certainly was something of the past, but I don't think it's like that now. Of course, there's the old proverb, it's what you make of it. It's up to you to push yourself to participate if that's what you want to do. So if you are the kind of person who wants to create that energy, you can go out and create something, but, well, that costs cash. And for people with children, they may not have a choice because, of course, children do what they want to do. So my point is this: Christmas in the UK is almost certainly changing. And as we enter into a world where there's less and less participation with AI doing everything, I think we can expect to see a higher mental health crises. What will the role of humans be? How will we celebrate things like Christmas in the future? Especially if there's no work, does that mean no money? How will we pass our time? How are we going to live? Or perhaps the Incredible Hulk gives us a little clue. It's true that many of us have a very deep, deep anger inside, which we try to repress. In British psychology, we often refer to the dark side, the hidden part of our minds that we don't want to face. So when Christmas comes around, it's the perfect opportunity to run away from that, to drown out our senses by drinking until we can drink no more. And that's it from me for today. A little bit of introspection into Christmas, but I hope you've enjoyed this. And let's catch up again very soon.